figures and street life. Sarah Gorrell with you through until 2 o'clock this afternoon. And in just a moment, we'll meet a dad from Brighton. He's been speaking about his love for his wife and his 2 young children as he battles with an incurable brain tumour. Now, Matthew White got the shocking diagnosis a year ago. He was 39. He suffered a seizure while playing football. He's recently made a film for Stand Up to Cancer. That's the joint fundraising campaign from Cancer Research UK and Channel 4. I'll be speaking to him in just a moment, but first let's listen to his moving account.
I'm 39 years old. I met my wife when we were 17. She's everything. We're lucky enough to have started a family of our own. We have a beautiful daughter, an array of sunshine son. I've always liked to learn new things and be outdoors, go to new places and explore the most amazing world that we live in. And I've always wanted to instill that into our children. Life was going well and we'd had a really good start to the year. Quickly! One evening I went to play football. About an hour in, everything changed. I had a seizure. We went to A&E and I was admitted into hospital. I've worked for the NHS for the last 15 years. You never think you're going to be the patient in that hospital bed. And then I met the neurosurgeons and they just said, "We found something." I've never been more afraid. Hearing those words that there is no cure, I just sat there and cried and I looked at Leanne and I've never seen someone look so determined. In that moment, I absolutely knew she would do whatever it takes to be there for me. I learned really quickly that brain tumours are the biggest cancer killer of adults and children under 40 years old. Only about 12% of people survive for 5 years. I'm not too proud to admit that I'm scared. And some days it's easier than others. Some days it feels like it's impossible. Where the radiation's going in, I've been losing a lot of hair. But it's not the worst thing. It's making me wonder every day what I'll wake up and feel like. When I look in the mirror, sometimes I don't see myself. I'm not going to pretend it's easy because it's not. But I've come a long way. Climbed the mountain and got down again from brain surgery. I've climbed the mountain of radiotherapy, but I'm looking at the biggest mountain now. 8 months of chemotherapy.
My job is to tell you all the worst possible case scenarios. It doesn't mean they will all happen, but you need to be fully aware of what you're signing up for, okay?
No one really knows what the long-term impacts of this treatment will be. On me physically, cognitively, emotionally.
We're here for you, you know that.
The cancer doesn't really know what it's doing. It's trying to hurt me. It's trying to hurt them. But all the cancer is doing is making the love we have for each other stronger. I think about my children's future every single day. All the things they'll achieve, all the places they'll go. The reason why I'll be able to take that medicine is because hopefully it will buy me some time. So I don't have to miss all the memories I haven't yet made with my children.
Matthew White from Brighton speaking there as part of his film to support Stand Up to Cancer and joins me in the studio now. Thank you so much for coming in.
Oh, thank you for having me.
You're so proud of your children, aren't you? We've just been talking about them. Tell me a little bit more about those 2 beautiful children.
Oh, they're completely amazing. To see them kind of already grown up in the way that they are, kind of they're kind, they're empathetic, they're understanding, and they're creative and intelligent. And actually, when I was first diagnosed, my first thought was, of all the things I'm going to miss out on, and actually, for me also not to be there as their dad, to lean on me as they grew up. But actually, they've shown a character of strength and even more understanding. So we talk about my treatment every day.
But you've given them that because you're there as their dad and you've been there for all those years. And you will always be their dad. You've moulded those personalities, and you want to continue to mould those lovely personalities for as long as possible.
Oh, yeah, I absolutely do. And as I said, we talk about what's happening to me every day. There's no secrets. There's no, there's nothing for me to be ashamed of, and there's also nothing for them to be ashamed of in what's happening to our family. And they're as much a part of my treatment as my doctors, my nurses. They keep me going just as much as they do.
This diagnosis really came from nowhere, didn't it? Just playing football. What happened?
Yes, I was playing football, as I did every Thursday in the evening, and I had a seizure, what I now know is a seizure. And I didn't know that at the time. I didn't know what was happening. I remained conscious, had all kinds of sensory changes. I could hear different things, I could smell different things, I could taste different things, stuff that wasn't there. So completely my senses were kind of disconnected from reality in that moment. And it's an experience that you cannot forget. You just cannot forget.
When you're 39 and you're playing football and you're young and life is ahead of you, you take your health for granted. You don't expect this to happen. It must have been terrifying.
It was, and it was a whole week of being terrified from that moment, actually, from kind of going through the scans, going to A&E, hearing the things that they were finding and also not finding, and sort of not having an explanation at first, but then over those following days, the scan, hearing the words that we found something, and still not really knowing what it was at that point. So then a few days later, speaking with the neurosurgeons to say, it's definitely a brain tumour. It's extensive, it's complex. To save your life, you have to have brain surgery. And so we had a plan. And, I went along with it because I didn't really have a choice.
You go into that brain surgery and it must have been, again, terrifying, but you hope that you will come out to some good news. And what was the news when you did come out of surgery?
Yeah, the news as I came out of surgery was that they felt that they'd been able to remove a good proportion of the tumour. It was around 80 to 85%, which is a very good result in this type of diagnosis. And they felt that I was neurologically stable, and I shouldn't have significant neurological deficits looking ahead.
So a big relief in lots of ways. Yeah. And then after that, the chemotherapy starts. Yeah,
well, first I had radiotherapy a few months later. And then once the radiotherapy finished, it was straight into chemotherapy. And I've been in chemotherapy since then. So we're getting on for over a year's worth of treatment now, and there's still some months to go.
I asked you when we were off air what that treatment was like, and you said horrible.
Yeah.
And you're bracing yourself for that now.
Yes, it is. It's horrible. It challenges you in every possible way, physically, emotionally, cognitively. You have to work really hard just to be you.
Are you astounded at how you've managed to deal with this, though? Because I listened to your story, and I think anyone listening will think, I couldn't cope with this. I would never cope with telling my children, dealing with this, coping with the impact on work. But you're dealing with it all.
Yeah, I guess I am surprised in some ways, because at first you absolutely don't think you can do it. But what I've come to realise is I think we're much more resilient and capable as humans than we ever give ourselves, credit for. And actually, I don't think I'm special. I think this is how people, and with families and friends and support networks around them, this is what you do. I'm not the only one. You clearly adore your children, and must have been one of the hardest things, trying to work out how to break that news to them, and how much of the information that you share with those young children. Of course it is. It was actually one of the biggest and hardest decisions. It was harder than signing the paperwork to have the brain surgery. Harder than signing the paperwork to have radiation therapy. Harder than signing the paperwork for chemotherapy was working out how much I could tell them, because it was never going to be to not tell them the truth. It was always going to be the truth. It was just how do you explain that? How do you help them to understand and not worry and not fear the unknown? And it was extremely hard, and it's taken every bit of parenting experience I've got to figure that out. But it sounds like they've dealt with it remarkably well. No, they have. They're very empathetic and understanding of when I'm not feeling so well. As I said, we talk about the treatment and my doctors, my nurses. We speak very fondly about them. And they'll ask me if I've got an appointment. They'll say, "Oh, what happened today, Dad?" like, who did you talk to? What's going to happen next week? Or, they're very engaged in what it is to sort of live with cancer.
So you have the chemotherapy. You have been told that this can't be cured, but hopefully your life can be prolonged as long as possible so you can continue to enjoy the life that you love.
Yeah, absolutely. This, for the type of brain tumour that I have, there is no cure currently. And so the treatment was always about prolonging my life. And that hopefully the science will catch us up. And they'll find the breakthrough. They'll find the treatment that, can really make the difference.
I'm hoping that they find that for you, just talking to you, hearing about what you've got to live for, your lovely family. And that's why you took part in this film, I'm presuming.
Absolutely, because as I've already said, I'm not the only one. And actually, while I felt well enough, I felt capable enough, and I felt like I had to do something, because, there's 56,000 people that are diagnosed every year just in the southeast with cancer. There's 34 people in the UK every day that will hear the words, "You have a brain tumour." And so, while I feel I can, I'm going to do something.
And it is often young people as well, isn't it? They're affected by brain tumours.
It seems to be. It seems to be like brain tumours are the biggest cancer killer of children in the under 40s. And so while I felt I could, I was going to do something.
Thank you so much for sharing your story with us, and good luck with the chemotherapy. And it's been a real pleasure to meet you. Thank you for coming in today. Matthew White with that, talking very bravely about his diagnosis, and all the best of luck to Matthew with that next round of chemotherapy.